I swear, every month.
Man, I'm sitting there waiting for you to say something.
I'm telling you, you know the intro. I didn't even press it. I honestly didn't even press the intro. I literally just started the live stream, and it just went ahead and decided to do its own things. But look, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Live Palace News. I'm joined by T here to discuss all the latest with Palace. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to non sound future Palace videos. Send in your questions throughout the show, and if you're watching a replay, leave them in the comment section down below. T, you look younger, man. As I said before the show, you got trim.
Yeah,
You look fresh. You're looking fresh. You're not. Yeah, you're not. I'm looking like Palace right now. I'm all over the place. You're looking like the complete opposite. Look like complete opposite. How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Doing good,
Yeah.
man.
We didn't have you on a match reaction, so quickly before we actually start the show, what do you make of the game?
Man, I mean, if you think about it, it would have been another 0-0 game if we wouldn't have made that mistake, Unfortunate on the offsides call with Wilf, man. It's just man, we gotta start scoring some goals, man. It's getting a little bit outrageous, man. So I saw a tweet earlier. We talked about it a little bit that the last time we were playing well, scoring goals from open play was when Anwar was starting up top before he got hurt. When Zaha was out wide, and when Eze was in the starting lineup. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's like, does the manager hold this much of a grudge to this whole defensive work rate piece that you're not going to start guys that are actually going to get you points on the board, like scores on the board? Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know, man. We need to play better, dude. That's all I can say.
Yeah, especially in attack. But look, we already gave our thoughts on the game. We spoke about it for nearly 2 hours. So if you have already done so, make sure to go check out the live match reaction where we talk about the game in more depth. And we had some very good callers as well, some new callers, some interesting perspectives. And as always, look, there's going to be people who have their own opinions. We see with Lukey saying hashtag Vieira out. So some people are not fans of Vieira for whatever reason, and
seeing that going around.
There is a division right now in the fan base, but of course we want to try to keep it as impartial as possible. Of course, we have our own opinions, but it'd be always good to hear your opinions as well. Look, there's a lot to talk about today. There's news about Rhys Nelson that we're going to be talking about, a Palace defender potentially being in the interest of Manchester United, and also we'll be given an update on Zaha, answering your questions and more, everything related to Palace. So if you have any questions, send them through and we'll check them out later on down the show. T, should we start off with Reiss Nelson then?
Yeah.
This report was quite interesting, especially the timing, because he just came on and scored a literal last-second winner against Bournemouth to keep Arsenal's title hopes high. He's a player that's been injured in the past, so he hasn't really had that many chances, gone also out on loan. But according to reports, Palace and the likes of West Ham, Brentford are all on the radar of the club. The 23-year-old is out of contract at the end of the season and is currently due to become a free agent, and that is according to the London World News. Reiss Nelson, 23 years old, he fits our profile there in terms of age. Of course, he's had a bit of injuries in the past, but the timing of this is very interesting. He scores a goal, and then all of a sudden we're all interested. What happened about a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Why is this story popping out now? Is it a case of just using Rhys Nelson's name and saying he's a free agent and clubs are interested, or do you think there's genuine interest there?
I mean, I think it'd be some genuine interest because it makes sense to have genuine interest in him. I mean, people are not talking about him because people probably forgot he was even at Arsenal. I mean, he hasn't played at all. Like, he didn't go out on loan, which is an interesting thing, but at the same time, I guess it's more attributed to the fact that he is in his contract year. So maybe they didn't want to loan him out, being that he was in his contract year. But I mean, it makes sense. Like you said, he fits our profile. He'll be free in the summer. Apparently the negotiations that they've been having with him aren't going so well. So, I mean, he's a young Premier League experienced player, man. He did well on his last loan spell with Feyenoord. For what I understand, he was playing with them in some European competitions too. So, I mean, I think it makes sense. I mean, for us particularly because we wouldn't have to pay a transfer fee. So,
yeah, Fonda says Arsenal will pull and Nketiah with Rhys Nelson and whisper promises into his ear and sign him to a new contract with increased wages. And I'm more on this wavelength as well, especially with, I know it's recent bias, but especially with scoring that goal. I'm not saying, oh, because he scored a goal, Arsenal all of a sudden want to sign him, but I'm pretty sure there's been interest there to keep him on. And next season, when Arsenal are playing European football, you need a squad depth. And you're talking about a 23-year-old homegrown player. So I'll be very surprised if they do let him go. But when you're looking at the future, and if he was in Rhys Nelson's position, would you want to join a club like Palace when you might get opportunities at Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're talking about, playing in Europe, squad depth and everything. And like the article says, they are actively negotiating with him. So they're obviously trying to show that they want to keep him to some extent. So Thunder Road might have a point. They very well could end up being Eddie Nketiah type of situation where they end up bringing him back on increased wages and things like that because, maybe Arsenal will pay him what another club won't, being that, they probably haven't seen the level of play or success from him. But, who knows? Maybe he's just not happy. Maybe he wants the chance to play every day somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, I think moving to another London club, and funny enough, all of the clubs that the report suggested are London clubs as well. So I'm pretty sure he'd want to stay in London regardless. And there is that comment from Chloe saying he is injury prone. No thanks. And looking at his injury history, it seems like only this season he's missed about 44 days with thigh problem, and that was from December, so near enough Boxing Day till most recently when he did come back against Brentford and scored that goal. And before that, he was out from August to October. So he's missed about 90. In fact, he missed about 100 days just this season. Yeah, he had a minor knock earlier on last year as well, last season, which kept him out for 14 days. He had a knock before that as well last season. So he had 2 knocks, which probably kept him out about for 34 days, which were at Feyenoord. He had Corona, which, come on, you can't blame him for Corona because that's just being crazy harsh if you're saying he's injured.
If it happens, it happens.
But he has had a lot of injuries. He's had a knee injury, head injury, hamstring injury, ankle injury, and these are all coming back from 18-19 season to this season. Back problem. So, yeah, there is a concern there. But you're talking about one of the most highly rated players alongside Sancho coming up in his youth days. Right. He was one of the most highly rated players. And you could see why when you do watch him play when he's not injured. So, I understand the concerns, but I would love it. I would love it because we have to remember, this is not a case of, if Wilf leaves, let's get him. Right. Even if Wilf stays, that is fantastic.
You still want a great option like that.
As a backup option that can grow at the club, that can compete with Wilf, is an actual left-sided player and can probably play in different areas as well of the pitch. So that'll be amazing. We need a left-sided player. I've done my calculations. We spoke about in our group chat, and we need a few players. Well, my personal opinion, anyways, this summer we need that.
You had a good breakdown. You had a good breakdown of the situation.
I think realistically we need about minimum 6 to 9 players. If we're being realistic about us moving on to the next step, 6 to 9 players. And that's not including youth players as well, but I'll detail that out in another video. But yeah, look, I think we need players, and if Nketiah on free, that'll be amazing. 23 years old. Milton says, why does Mitchell keep passing the ball backwards? I can't keep up with play. You know what, Milton? We'll keep that on behind the scenes, and we're going to talk about later on down the show when we answer some of your questions. So don't worry, we're not going to forget about it. We'll answer your question. But yeah, as Bond is saying, if you're enjoying the show, hit the thumbs up, people. Helps out massively for the algorithm. Let's keep the channel growing. As always, we're thankful for your support, because without you, then there's none of this channel. So yeah smash the like button if you're enjoying the show, anyways, and all the content that's coming through. Let's move on to the second bit of news, and that is on one of our defenders. And according to reports from Manchester Evening News, Manchester United have joined the race for Crystal Palace defender and England international Marc Guehi. Marc Guehi. I remember we were talking about him, about Tottenham. He moved to Tottenham. Now Manchester United. Every time, whenever I mention Manchester United after what happened this weekend, I can't stop but laugh.
Makes
Because
sense. They're
that was a
interested in
beating. Yeah.
central defenders,
Funny
right?
enough, this report actually came out before that game, but I'm pretty sure if they were interested before, they're
Just
probably a bit
saying.
more interested now. Exactly. Especially with a homegrown player as well.
Right.
But if we're talking about a potential move in the summer, United, look, as soon as I saw this report, I thought, well, they got Varane, they got Martinez, maybe they get rid of Maguire, but I don't realistically
Lindelof.
see him being a starter there if he was to join. I don't, because let's ignore yesterday's game. I know it's funny. I know losing 7-0 is crazy as well, but they have had a pretty solid defense all season long. And there's been questions about whether they have the best backline in the league. Once again, it's funny saying this because, like, we're talking about, you know, a team that just lost 7-0. We're talking about one of the best backlines. Is like having, I don't know, like having a Porsche with a Volkswagen engine. It just doesn't make sense. But it's happened. But for you, do you think a Man United move would make sense for Guéhi, first and foremost?
I mean, I think it depends on what game he's looking to get from it. If he's looking to play European football, then it makes sense. I think that's kind of like it's kind of similar to what you were just saying about Rhys Nelson. You know what I mean? I think the only reason why Guéhi makes that move is to have the opportunity to play European football, and the fact that there's probably going to be some rotation with the central pairings between the Premier League and whatever European competition they end up being in. So he's going to play. He'll play. You know what I'm saying? It won't be necessarily an everyday setup, but he'll have the opportunity to play and possibly play in Europe. You know, I think that's probably the biggest thing. And of course, the pay bump. You know what I'm saying? If he goes there, he's going to get paid more. You know what I mean? I guess those are the things that matter the most. Or, you know, I mean, he's in a great situation right now with his situation at Palace. I mean, he's a go-to everyday center back for us. He's our captain on majority of matches that he plays in. Next year, he would undeniably be the captain, I think, with the necessary moves that we'll probably make. But, you know, I would hope that he would want to stay around for, you know, a little bit longer. But, you know, money talks. So.
Did you see what he said after the game? I honestly, considering that he's one of our younger players, I think he's captain ready already. Like, he's been so many times that after games when we've been struggling, he comes out and he talks. And we do have the more experienced players in the dressing room that could have came out after the Villa defeat and spoke. But he spoke and he was honest. And in all honesty, I liked his comments more than Vieira's comments. He said it wasn't good enough. He said we didn't create enough chances. And that's why I feel like he is captain material. So when you're talking about selling him, and there's a comment here from Sizwa saying, yeah, selling for around 45 to 50 million pounds. We have Richards to replace him, which is a very interesting comment because we do have Chris Richards, who has performed well in a short sample size that we've seen. Of course, it'll be interesting to see how he does over a period of games. He's
already shown he has injury issues, though.
Yeah, Richards, he has injury issues. But for me, Marc Guehi is captain material. So if you're talking about selling him for around 45 to 50 million,
it's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. And we're talking about one of the wealthiest clubs in the whole world. If Marc Guehi was to leave Palace, I'm not, especially to a club like Manchester United, I'm not thinking about anything going in around 60 to 70 million pounds. We're forgetting
even
that
more than that, bro. They paid 80 million for Harry Maguire. Marc Guehi's better than Harry Maguire when he was at Leicester. He's better than Harry Maguire since he's been at Manchester United. And any fan can delightedly debate me on that one. He's better. Therefore, I need the 80.
Yeah, I mean, 45 to 50 million pounds is absolutely nothing. I'm talking about 80 to 90 million pounds. I'm talking about a potential future captain, a homegrown player, a player that's very good. So if we was to sell that player, we're selling it on our terms. And if it's on our terms, I'm expecting a good amount of money, especially to a club like Manchester United. But for his own personal development, I'm not too sure if this would be the right move because I think Ten Hag is an excellent manager. Funny enough, lost 7-0. I get it. But I think overall he's done amazing for some of the players that's been at Manchester United. You see the likes of Rashford, even Wan-Bissaka. So he gets the best out of the players. So maybe he would improve Guéhi like that. But in terms of actual playing time and growing as a player on the job, I don't know how many opportunities he'll get. So if Guéhi was to leave, I would like to get at least 80 million pounds for him and you know build on that because I think he is he still hasn't hit ceiling. Let's just say that he still hasn't hit
No.
the ceiling, and Manchester United have the money. But yeah, look, another comment that I'm just going to show in just a second about Chelsea. What did Chelsea deal with this? Because Chelsea could have a potential clause as well in this. Which we see comment from CD. Have Chelsea got buyback clause for Guéhi? So when he did first join, but there was reports about that. Not buyback.
There was rumors. There was rumors about it, but I'm pretty sure it got dispelled that there is no buyback clause in his contract, and that's why many Chelsea fans were so upset that we got him for 20 million without that option.
I think there is I don't know if it's like first dibs.
It might be a first right of refusal. Where they can match
like,
whatever's agreed to.
Yeah. I think it's something similar to that level. I don't think it's just a straight buyback clause that they have, but I think if a club offers £60 million, I think Chelsea can match that or something like that. But once again, don't take my word for it. I need to double check it before I confirm it. But I believe it's something on that level rather than they have an actual buyback clause where Chelsea can buy him for like 40 to £50 million, which is a very good deal from Palace. And look, once again, Guéhi, how long has he been here? 1 year? What? He's only played one season. He's into 1 year and a half now. Year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
And we're talking about a player that we could potentially sell for about at least £60 million, and that is on a that's a bare minimum.
Low end.
We're talking about
I'll take 60 from somebody outside of the Premier League.
No, we're talking around 40. We're already talking about 40 to £50 million profit, and he's barely played even 2 seasons yet. His season. One whole season, and we're in the second season now. He hasn't completed the second season, so that's why it's been fantastic business. But our problem is not the players that we bring in; it's just the quantity of players which we have to bring up to bring us to the next level. He hasn't been enough transfers this window. David says Marc Guehi joined us for game time in the Prem. He could have played second tier footy at Chelsea. Exactly, he joined us for game time in the Prem for another London club. But then again. There might, I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of Guéhi, but I'm just thinking there must be a point where he might be looking at. I want a bigger challenge as well. I want game time at the likes of Manchester United. Maybe he thinks he's ready for that. Even though for me personally, I don't know if he would be ready at this current moment in time, especially for Manchester United. I think Tottenham he would be because I think he gets into their back line. But Manchester United, they are doing all right this season, especially defensively. They lost 7-0. But yeah, Terry says a match's price and Chelsea get first choice and percentage to Chelsea was reported. Yeah, I thought it was something similar to that. It's about more match's price than a buyback clause. Fonda Road says Chelsea have enough centre backs. They are re-signing Thiago Silva for another season, and they might not even be in Europe next season. Yeah, I don't think Chelsea go.
And they're going to have a healthy wage bill too, man. I mean, you got to think about what they're paying Koulibaly. They just added Badia Shael. They're going to re-sign Thiago Silva. They're in the process of trying to extend. What's the other kid's name? The center back with the blonde dreads, Chalobah. They've got Malang Sarr, who's on loan right now out at Monaco. They have a ton of center back options there. So might be one of the reasons why Guéhi left in the first place. Let's be honest.
Exactly. I think he was even before the Thiago Silva thing. I don't think he was going to get many opportunities, and that's why he left. So yeah, look, Manchester. According to the Manchester Evening News, we'll keep guys updated as always. Anyways, Manchester United have joined the race for defender Marc Guehi. So yeah, that would be interesting to see what happens this summer because we might have to sell to buy, and there might be a topic of who do you sell to buy? Who would be the biggest loss? Right. And as people mentioned, Riches could be a potential option. But look, if you have any questions that you have about Palace related or any topics you want us to discuss, and send them through and we'll read them out towards the end of the show. We've got last bit of news that we have to talk about because I'm not the one to avoid news, even though sometimes it gets a bit boring or annoying. I want to keep you guys updated as much as possible. And that is on Wilfried Zaha. So according to TalkSport, Arsenal and Chelsea are 2 possible options for Zaha should he run his contract down at Crystal Palace. So look, T, I don't want to go into this much longer. Arsenal and Chelsea, it says, are a possibility if he runs out his contract. I don't think it's anything breaking news. I'll say this: if it's a London club, I think he'll be more inclined to that. But then again, how much game time would he get, and what's important for him? But these are topics that we've already done before with Will. So it depends on what exactly he wants. I don't know at Arsenal how much game time he'll get. Maybe because Chelsea spent a lot of money on wide players already. So it's a bit hard to see him at Chelsea. But maybe Arsenal, you could get that game time. Saying that they're doing very well, they've got young players, so I don't know why they would stop the development of the young players for Wilf. And would Wilf want to come off the bench for Arsenal? Maybe so. I don't know. He sports them. But yeah, we'll see about that. Now, let's go through some of the questions that you guys sent earlier on in the show. And if you have any, send them through as well. We'll answer them and then we'll wrap up the show. Milton says, why does Mitchell keep passing the ball backwards? I can't keep up with play. Do you think this has been the case as well? Have you noticed this? Because I've seen another comment like this before. I think it was on Twitter that Mitchell loves passing the ball backwards.
I do see some of what they're talking about, what Milton's speaking about. I mean, now I will be honest though. I thought Tyrick did a pretty good job against Villa getting forward. His crosses weren't great, but he did get forward a little bit better. And I think the long and short of it when it comes to why he does it is just because he's not adept at attacking. He's not a very fluid attacker, you know, and I think that leads him to not being able to play forward the way we would prefer and leading him to play the ball backwards pretty often. He's not a confident dribbler. You know what I mean?
Well, is that the case though? Because we've seen him be better in attack in the past. We've seen.
I think he's good. I think he's good. I think he's good. I think he's good when he's running straight forward with nobody in front of him. I think like he's not the type of fullback that's going to take on defenders. He's not going to go one-on-one dribble move, try to beat you down the flanks. That's not his game. You know what I'm saying? So with that being the case, he gets the ball, he starts down, a player puts themselves in front of him. His first instinct is to probably look behind or maybe look lateral to make a pass rather than trying to go forward and go past guys or make more progressive passes. I just think a lot of it is just his comfort level going forward.
Yeah, and that's why I think we need competition. And look, as I said, when I sent that thing to our group chat about how many players that we need, I think that is a whole video worthy discussion. So I'm not going to discuss it here, but I honestly feel like it could be. There's so many bullet points that like I made. I've been thinking about with Tyrick. If we get another left back, I want us to get a left back that is on his level or even better. Yep. You get it. So there's two ways of getting depth. There's getting depth about, you know, a player that's younger or that's not that can, you know, that could be behind Tyrick. But I want to get better. I want to get better because if you get better, it only helps Tyrick more. He's better competition. You have to you learn from a better player and you push on like that. I think even look at the top sides, like for example, like Liverpool as well. I'm not saying we're Liverpool's level, but you got Tsimikas and you got Robertson, and both of them can do a job. You know, so
one of the things I hope
really need.
I'm sorry. One of the things I hope that we don't do is get another left back who is the polar opposite of him, who can attack but can't defend. And then we find ourselves in that same situation that we were in with him and PV or PVA. And it's like, okay, you'll play one and you'll get the attack, but you can't get any defense. Or you play the other and you'll get defense, but you won't get any attack at all. You know what I'm saying? I hope that whoever we bring in is more well-rounded and, you know, like you said, can compete with him at the same level or higher.
Yeah. Look, let's move on to the next question. If you have any questions, keep sending them through. Don't worry, we'll go through them as much as we can. CD says 6 to 9 players. Who are we going to sell? Board won't pay up. So this was on my comment that I made about how many players that we think we need. So we've got players out of contract. The likes of MacArthur, as much as I love Macca, I think if you're talking about in business, in football terms, it's a good time to move on. We've got Macca out of contract. We've got Butler now contract that I think I had in my list. In fact, I got my list on my phone, so I could just bring it up and actually talk about some of the players that are out of contract that I think that we could get rid of easily this summer, plus potentially sell a few. I think one player that surprised me was Reederbod because he's actually not out of contract this summer.
Nope, he's not. He's under contract till 2025.
So we got Ferguson out of contract. You got Luca, who's out of contract. Macca's out of contract. Sambi will be going back. You got so you got like a few players there that you can get rid of. But for me, look, we need to spend. I mean, you know how I was talking about where do we rank in terms of net spend this season? You didn't realize we are bottom. After January, we are bottom in terms of.
I think we're bottom 3 before January.
And it makes absolutely no sense, though. It makes no sense because Why didn't we spend to build on it? And the only reason that, or explanation, of course, Zaha is also our contract, which was free up wages if he was to leave. But the only explanation that I have, the reason why we didn't spend, is because we're waiting for summer. We're waiting for some of these players to be our contract.
That's what I hope.
And in honesty, I think this summer's make or break. If we don't show the ambition, and if we move cheap once again, and I think that's been a problem, cheaper route. It works to a certain extent. We have found gems, but sometimes you just have to spend the money. It's no good keeping it in the bank. You know, if you're hungry, you want to feed yourself. So go and eat food. Like, we're hungry. We need to have food. So go out there and bring in players. You get it? So for me, you have to spend. And that's why this summer's massive. This summer's massive. For me personally, this summer is where I make up my mind, depending on the business, I make up my mind to say, yes, the owners that we have are good enough, or you know, it might be time to look at the ownership model, and you know, some of these owners, are they picking up the, you know, slack, and are they giving us enough? Because you know, we've got a young manager, Patrick Vieira. I understand all of you are frustrated with the results, and look, we have got good enough players to compete better than we've done against Aston Villa. But you know, now that I've calmed down, I was very frustrated at the live match reaction. Now that I've calmed down, you know, looking at our previous games without Zaha, we had a clean sheet against Liverpool only last week.
Yep.
We managed to pick up a point against Manchester United. I think that was without Zaha or Anderson. We was on a verge of beating Brentford. So the optimism that I have, of course, I wanted to see us do better against Aston Villa. Who doesn't? But the optimism that I have is I'm hoping this is a one-off. We've got 3 games that we have to survive through. Let's be honest. We have to survive through the next 3 games. But we got from now till April to fix our things going forward. We need to fix it up. And I do have the faith in our players to fix it up, because this group of players should score more goals and have a bit more confidence. But then again, Vieira has to make decisions. What happens with Edouard? What happens? Because for me, as I said to you, T, before, look, it's all good him coming up publicly, making these comments, but you have him on your bench.
That's tough.
Why not do you have him on your bench if he's that bad and you're not going to bring him off the bench? Just wasting everyone's time and hopes. So look, we've got a month. Realistically, we've got about a month till we face Leicester, and then we have these so-called winnable games. I'm not saying we're going to win these games, but if we sort out our attack, our defense has been solid. We're not a terrible football side. We're not. It's not like we're getting beat left, right, centre, 4-0, 5-0. The only problem against Villa was the attack. And of course, it's a big problem. But with the players that we got, hopefully Vieira changes up. Maybe changing system. Maybe to a 4-3-3. Going back to that.
He's gonna need to make some type of tactical adjustments here soon, because you can't keep with what we've seen in recent weeks. You know, like, there was an excuse earlier on about the level of the teams that we played against, but you know, when we got into more winnable matches, like this last one against Villa, we didn't score at all. So it's like, how long are we going to be able to use that excuse, you know, before you start to make some significant changes tactically to what you're doing? Because I feel like at this point for him, being stubborn can be the end to you. You know, it could be your end if you continue to do the same things and deploy the same tactics or deploy the same guys in certain places. Like,
sorry, T, to cut you off, but the mad thing is, he wasn't always stubborn. That's what I'm thinking. He wasn't always stubborn. Remember, we had a period of
he's pretty pragmatic
for the first season.
There.
We were talking about, like, wow, he's changing up because we're facing Man City or because we're facing Norwich. We have this player in the midfield or this player in attack. Like, he was changing up. So I'm just thinking, is this stubbornness? Because as we know, both of our strikers are not good enough. Well, Mateta hasn't been good enough, and he doesn't trust Edouard. So is this stubbornness just based on the fact that we don't have alternatives that he wants to use? And that's why
I think it could be stubborn. It could be stubborn in a couple of different ways, man. It could be stubborn, like you said, based on, you know, like, it seems like he's really huge on defensive contribution, even from his attacking players, and we know how familiar that sounds from the past. But you know, if it's one of those things, it's like he's valuing the work rate over the goal return from guys in your attacking third, and it's like, okay, well, you do realize that we can play all the 0-0 draws in the world, but at some point we got to score some goals to win some matches. So it's one of those things like, how long are you going to let that bother you? Or how long are you going to cling to these favorites of yours because of one particular thing that they bring to the team? You know what I mean? When we're talking about that work rate piece, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the only reason why Elise is in there a lot more and he's solidified his spot is because of how much he's willing to work and track back and contribute defensively now. Because before that he was in and out of the lineup too. So
Yeah. There's a question. Anyways, let's move on to it now. Do you reckon Vieira will invest in some tactics in the coming weeks? We basically spoke about Vieira's tactics now, but look, I think the most concerning thing for me is with our attacking patterns of play. Patterns of play, we just looked lost out there. It looked like a bunch of individuals, especially against Aston Villa. But then again, this was the first time in a long time. It feels like a long time, anyways.
Healthy players.
That we had Eze, Wilf. It was Will's first game back. But then again, I don't think it's anything to do with Wilf's first game back. It's more to do with tactics. And that's why I was really pissed off with Vieira, because I thought, this was the first time in a very long time, or I can't imagine before, that I was saying, why be so stubborn? Zaha can play up front. I've had this debate with others. Zaha can play up front. That's not my issue.
But that's not his natural position.
But he can play there if we have the service. But we can't put the service up to him. Man. The problem is he is our most creative player, and if you have him up front and you don't get a ball much to him,
you lose
then
that.
He becomes useless.
Yeah,
useless.
I think that's the biggest issue. I think that's the biggest issue right now for us tactically, is that we with that starting lineup that we saw against Villa. We saw a lot of the players on the pitch that we wanted to see, that we've been calling for, that we've been wanting to see out there. The issue is where they're playing on the pitch. You know what I mean? Like, you're not doing. I can't express this any more than I have. You're not doing our team a service by playing Michael Olise in the 10. You're not. He's a good passer.
Is it out wide? Is that every one of the players are just out of position? Every one of them is out of position.
Olise is a good player. He's a very good passer with his strong foot, but he is not suited to play in the 10 because he cannot play with his right foot. Therefore, you're playing a player who is weakened by where you're putting him on the field. Eberechi Eze is not a winger. He is not. He doesn't have the pace of a winger. He doesn't have the crossing ability of a winger. That is not his position. You are hurting his ability and our ability as an attacking team by playing him on the left. Wilf, as you said, is probably our most creative force on the team. By playing him as striker, he does not have the license to be the creative player that he needs to be unless you play him like a Harry Kane and he's dropping in a false 9 and playing in the midfield.
It's not really Harry Kane. Harry Kane is a better footballer than Zaha.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that style, you have to drop him to get him on the ball for him to be creative is really what I'm getting
at.
And
I think if you do that, you need to have capable fullbacks as like wide options as well. Like, exactly. If Wilf is to drop, he needs to have like players that's running down the wings. I mean, if Wilf is dropping, Eze's running down the wing ain't the same. Eze's like a number 10. Like Eze should be number 10. But
you might as well just let Edouard do that. You might as well just let Edouard do that.
You know what? All he has to do is finish whatever is going on with Edouard, sort it out, and let him have continuous run of games. I'm not saying Edouard is a long-term solution, even though I do still have faith in him. Even though when he was playing, his decision-making wasn't that great.
I think he's just the best option we have right now.
Before his injury, he was scoring goals. Like I can bring.
Yeah, he had 5 goal contributions. Exactly. In like
weren't as dreadful
5 or 6 games.
And before, I understand. Look, there's some comments saying we're just dreadful going forward. We have no creativity. We have nothing. But then again, before this game, what creativity do you expect? I think it's incredible that we picked up points against the likes of Liverpool, like Manchester United, even Newcastle to a certain extent. We picked up points against Brighton. But when they tackled Jeffrey Schlupp, Mateta and Ayew, that attack ain't hitting. in Red Light District in Amsterdam, that attack is not hitting nothing. That attack is just missing, bro. That attack ain't, that attack. What do you expect with that attack?
That's
Like,
unreal.
honestly.
That's unreal. I can't imagine starting that attacking three when you got Eze on your bench, when you got Edouard on your bench. I don't see it because
Yeah, but but we have no. I understood it. I understood it because when Eze was out of form, he wasn't playing that great.
well, you know what? At the
Sometimes you
same
need to
time, I
drop a
wouldn't
player.
want
You need
Eze.
to
I
drop a
wouldn't
player.
want Eze playing on the wings anyway. If we're talking about that, like, cool.
But that attack
Yeah.
is just that attack ain't good enough. Let's just say
Yeah.
that attack wasn't good enough. So I don't expect. I have no expectations. But of course, this was the game where we had expectations as a fan base. We got the lineup that we all wanted. It just plays out wrong position. How do you solve that? You solve that with potentially tactics, but first and foremost, put the players in the right position, and let's start there. And to put the players in the right position, what do you have to do? Most likely, for it to be successful, JP ain't the solution for me, anyways. You have to start Edouard. So the problem starts with Edouard. You solve that problem, then you have Wilf out wide, then you have Eze as the number 10, then you have Elise down the right. And I'm not saying Edouard will score against City or even Brighton or even Arsenal, but you have to give him a run of games again to build his confidence with more creative players around him. Because when he was playing before, his decision making wasn't great. But saying that, he was also playing around very, very average attackers that basically on paper have no production for goals and assists. So yeah. I think the problem gets solved with changing formation and letting some players play in literally their right positions, and I think like that it solves a lot of these problems. Well, look, let's move on to the next question. If you have any questions, send them through. We'll answer them as the show goes on. CD said, any young players likely to step into the first team squad next season? See, that's why when I said 69 players, I didn't count the youth players, but in terms of actual youth players to step into the squad next season, it's hard to judge. I mean, Scott Banks is doing well at Bradford, but Bradford and Crystal Palace is two
It's League Two.
different
Like,
ball
you can't
games.
even.
Yeah, to the
It's
Premier
League
League.
Two. Like, nah.
Like, Keane Phillips is doing well. We're hyping him up. Like, he's doing well, but then again, he's doing it at Shrewsbury.
It's League One.
Realistically, the one player that I expect to step up next year is David Ozo. David Ozo, I think Raksaki can. Maybe Whitworth as a backup goalkeeper, even though I would like us to go and get a new goalkeeper when Butland does leave. But yeah, there's only a few. I mean, for you,
got
anyone else that
Ebue,
stands out?
and you got Ebue, who's
But he's not
actually
really a young player. Like he didn't join us. He's not like a youth player. He's a young player, but he's not. I
true.
think he's trying to say any youth
Yeah,
players.
yeah. And, other than that, no, I agree with you, man. I think for me, Ozo's the guy that makes the jump. I think some people would talk about Admirola, but I don't think he's ready yet. And I think it shows from what he's going through at this point. So for me, yeah, it's David Ozo in the midfield, but also O'Brien, possibly Jake O'Brien. Jake O'Brien's got he's built for this league as far as his size and things. But I guess it's just all a matter of how they see him and what they want to do with him, because he's doing really great with Molenbeek, about to get them promoted to Belgium's first league. So I don't know. It just depends on what they want to do with him. But I think those are two for me, Ozo and O'Brien, and yeah, Raksaki probably could step in and contribute too. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and all these players. One thing I have to say, all these players that we're mentioning, it depends on what they do preseason. As I said, some of these players, some of these names that we haven't mentioned, they might even step up. They might even play a bigger role than the likes of Raksaki or Ozo.
You never know.
They're out on loan. Maybe they got that bit of confidence. They come back preseason, they look serious. So it's very hard for us to say right now. But based on what we've seen and some of the names that's been mentioned already, I think I agree with you on that. Raksaki, Ozo, O'Brien, those are the players I'm looking at. I don't think we're gonna have like 20 players coming in terms of from youth to the first team. I don't think we have that many great players. But then again, confidence is real. Some of these players, they might get confidence out on loan, and they might be in a form that they've never been in before, and actually kick on from their loan move. So this preseason is massive. It's massive. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to judge preseason and judge whether we need players or not from some of these youth players. So I think that'd be the hard thing. And Silver says, yeah, all the players are short of confidence because of our form. I agree. It must be frustrating not to get a win. I think that 100% plays a part. Robert says the problem is that opponents can press us in such a way that the ball is forced to our fullbacks who are not good at progressing the ball, which totally undermines our possession game. And this is where, before you guys shoot me, this is where you reach that point. Is the squad good enough? You know, when we talk about Vieira out, Vieira this, I think the squad going forward should be creating more chances, but there are some serious weaknesses in our squad, whether that's with depth in certain areas, whether that's with starters in certain areas. Our fullbacks were getting targeted all game against Aston Villa.
We've got to be one of the worst teams at crossing the football in the Premier League. Like, I feel surprised when we cross the ball.
Yeah. And what does that for? Look, if you're going to play possession, I know what Vieira's trying to do. He's trying to have a possession style of football. He's trying to create overloads out wide. He's trying to have the forwards tuck in. He's trying to have the fullbacks stay out wide, put crosses into the box. But you can't do that with these group of players. So for me, until we solve our player issues, I don't want to just get rid of managers and bring managers in, get rid of managers. You know, we're going to have struggles along the way with the process. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I'm completely Vieira in and he's the 100% the man leading us forward, but I do have somewhat belief in him if we do back him. But that's a massive if. And I understand some of you lot that's saying, you know, we need a new manager right now because it's not good enough with the players that we got. I understand that, but you're going to have hiccups along the way. You are. And the hiccups are understandable. The hiccups are not that we've backed Vieira to the full extent. The hiccups that I think personally anyways is that we haven't backed Vieira enough. And that's why we're seeing these hiccups. Our fullbacks are easy to target, or you can leave them open because you can argue that it doesn't help us when they're going forward. They're not that type of players. There are key weaknesses that we needed to solve for a very long time. Fullbacks has been one of them. I've said it so many times. We still need a new right back, even when Klein was playing well, even when Woody was playing well, because they don't suit Vieira's system. With the Mitchell situation, that's different because Tyreek was actually playing decently. But ideally, you need another competition there because you don't want your players to stay in the same comfort level. Mm-hmm. So these are problems that we've had for a long time, and we need to solve them this summer. And that's why I'm leaving my judgment over to the board. If they do it, then I'll say great. They proved us wrong, even though it was a very frustrating season. If they don't do it, I have no confidence. No more confidence because you got a young manager, you got a young group of players, and they have to deliver. And you have to spend for that to happen. You can't keep going cheap. You can't. And
it's one of those things, man. Going into a summer, like if at the end of closer to the end of the summer, if the necessary moves haven't been made, you can't blame somebody like for Vieira for wanting to possibly step aside. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, why put yourself through? Yeah, why put yourself through this again?
The problem that I have is, all right, cool. Vieira leaves. But it's going to be the same problems. Yep. I mean, what was the problems? We didn't bring in good enough players.
And then you got to go through the same process of a manager trying to get the type of guys he wants in. So we're in the same process again, now trying to cycle through the players on our squad and him trying to get the types of guys or the particular guys that he wants on the team in the squad. We're in the same predicament, same issue, because now we still aren't playing or able to play the way that the manager wants or the style that he wants because we don't have the personnel that they're looking for, and we still have this back and forth between the manager and ownership about bringing in the necessary talent to fit what the manager wants to do on the pitch. It's just it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle, and how you end the cycle is with the actual owners backing the manager. Actually bringing in players because if we do have I'm telling you now, I think majority of the people that actually still have somewhat belief in Vieira will probably agree with me on this. If Vieira had a modern right back, a right back that is better than Nathaniel Klein, if we had competition at left back, if we even had better forwards, because we can make that argument, do we have even good enough forwards? And if we did solve these issues and then we weren't getting results, I don't think anyone would say keep Vieira in. But my problem is we don't have the resources to go and push on in the first place. The squad. Sometimes we overhype the squad. Let's be real. We overhype the squad.
And then part of it, I mean, you got all these people, especially after the Villa loss, that are like, "Oh, I'm sick of PV. It's over with." Did PV score an own goal? Was that him that kicked it into our net?
But then again, I have to support the people. I have to try to be fair. PV also set up the team, and we didn't. We had Zaha on the pitch. He kept Zaha. We're talking about here. He kept Wilf out position.
I mean, I mean,
Eze
but was PV offside on that goal opportunity, or was that
yeah,
Wilfried Zaha?
but apart from that goal, we created absolutely nothing in 90 minutes of football, and that's on PV. And the reason why I say that's on PV is because you had Zaha out of position, you had Eze out of position. You know,
I agree with you on
you had
that. I mean, like I
you had
said,
Elise out of position. So I'm
I've
trying to be
always been
as
honest
much as
about the
that's for
fact
Vieira.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
like
be
that he plays
balanced. I'm trying to
guys
be
out of
balanced.
position for sure. And like
I'm
I've
trying to be
always
balanced.
agreed with that.
You can put some of the blame on. I understand where you're coming from. If we did score that goal, maybe it's a different game. But still, even if you do score that goal, you still expect to have a bit more of a threat than we had. When I say bit more, an actual threat, we had nothing. I think that's where the problem lies. He had nothing with all those players on, whilst having them out of position. And I think that's when you look at the manager. And that's me trying to be fair. Even though I want Vieira, to succeed, and I still have faith in Vieira if he was to get backed. Well, I'll see anyways in a easily runnable amount of games. He did play them out of position, so that was on the manager. To be fair, but Anthony says, who do we think will get as first team coach after Dennis Bergkamp? Dennis Bergkamp's been pictured, but it hasn't happened yet. I honestly don't know. I think he's promoted up staff by the club to that role because I've seen a few new faces. But
I mean, and there's no telling if we're actually going to bring in another coach.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want another coach.
Yeah,
and that's on him. If he doesn't want another coach, that's on him because the results.
Yeah, maybe he felt like it was too many heads trying to make decisions.
Look, there's more comments. Let's read through them. Jacob says we're clearly the least threatening team in the Premier League at the moment. Maybe,
I wouldn't agree with that. Not the least. I mean,
I don't know. It's recency bias, though, isn't it? When you look at Aston Villa, but then it's not just Aston Villa. It's hard to say because the games that we've had, we haven't had our best squad. If we had our best squad, even against the likes of, I don't know, Man United and all them teams, and we still create nothing, then yeah, I'd agree. But it's hard to say. It's only been one game since Wilf has been back, and we had Anderson and we had Eze starting, and the likes of Elise starting as well. So it's hard to say, but we are definitely at near enough the bottom though.
Yeah, we're definitely at the bottom. Surely. I mean,
but then I'm just trying to. I don't know. I'm just trying to think off my head. Southampton. Are they that? No. I think we're better than Everton.
Southampton.
I don't know.
Everton.
They don't score that many goals. Yeah.
Like
there isn't that many teams. Let's be honest. There isn't that many teams. But yeah. Anthony says, I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got an amount of money for the year, not just separate transfer windows. I think. I heard that as well, and I think that's the case. And that's why
we got money left over, shouldn't we?
No, and I think that's the problem that we had in January. That the money that we have, you want to keep it for the summer where you can get better deals. And I think
better
that's
deals.
why
You got more time to make more deals. Yeah.
Yeah, but we said this last summer for January, and we know we needed players, and we still didn't bring in good enough players. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's the case, and hopefully in summer we spend that money because we haven't spent nowhere near enough. And it's not all about spending money. Money doesn't guarantee success. But the reason why I'm saying spend the money because we need players, and you just simply
you're gonna have to spend money to bring in a multitude of players that you need. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna bring in 6, 7, 8, 9 guys for free. It's not gonna happen. You got to spend the money to bring them in. How much is one thing, but yeah, you're gonna have to spend some money to get guys in.
Yeah. Jason says Elise and Eze show flashes of brilliance. That's it. They don't have consistency. I feel they got credit. No, I feel they get credit that hasn't been earned. Elise and Eze body language show me they don't want to be here. Would you agree with the last bit?
No.
Nah? No. I don't know. I think Elise's body language, well, I don't know, the way he plays and goes into tackles, he shows passion. Like he can easily. We saw Bruno Fernandes against Liverpool. Let's say that. He lost the challenge and he just left it, and he's meant to be the captain. At least it still shows me a lot. Maybe you can question Eze's defensive work. Is it good enough? Because there's been that talks about his pressing, but I think Elise has been absolutely fantastic. I think that's one positive is, funny enough, we're talking about attacker, but Elise's defensive work once again was brilliant against Aston Villa. I thought he was great. He goes into challenges as well. But yeah, look, they're still growing as players as well, so I don't expect them to be the finished product at this current moment of time. POC says Wilf's no longer our most creative player. He's our best finisher. Eze and Elise are our most creative players. It doesn't matter if he's our best finisher if he's not going to get a chance in front of goal. And that's why I still think he's our most creative player because he needs to play out wide and he creates chances for the strikers. I haven't seen much of Eze recently, so I get what you're saying. He's a very good finisher, but he doesn't get opportunities. So for me, he still plays out wide. We're not just a good team, we were a good team last year. And Lukey, what's the answers to that? What do you think the reason is? Like, why are we so bad this year compared to last year? I think that's down to personnel. We lost some key players. We didn't replace Conor Gallagher, and we regressed as a squad. I think that's the reason, and that's why I feel like Vieira surely can't be an awful manager. He can't be. But then again, I don't know. Maybe when times are tough, maybe you can't get the players motivated, and that he hits the bottom there. But for sure, glimpses last year. That's why I'd got a bit of hope still. IU is also keeping attacking consistent mediocrity. He helps in terms of Vieira's system, but will never be consistently good going forward with him in the squad. Do you think he has to make a sacrifice there as well? That's what Jacob says anyways.
I being quite honest, I say yes. And I think about the time when we actually did sacrifice him and put him on the bench, and he came in as a sub and brought us great energy. And I believe that was they led us to a victory actually. And it's like, if you see,
off the bench against Man United,
so they both came off the bench, and they I mean, we played really well that match, and it's just one of those things. Maybe that's his role, bringing energy off the bench, because like you said, like they said, there is a considerable amount of give and take that comes with starting him. Yes, we're going to get a lot of good counter pressing. Yes, we're going to get good tracking back and defensive work rate, but going forward, we are seriously hurting. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I see that Vieira will take guys out of the rotation, and for short periods of time. He hasn't done that with Jordan Ayew yet, and I just wonder what it could be like. Yeah, so I'm saying, why
it's based on strikers, though. It's based on the strikers. If Edouard is ready, I think that's a straight swap, and that's what makes us better. But look, I said this before. I'm not mad the fact that Ayew's played so many games this season, because we have had injuries and he does put in a role. But we have to make sacrifices. Just because Ayew has good defensive games as a forward, that's not good enough. He hasn't got the production numbers to get goals and assists. So if we're looking at getting goals and assists, you can't start Ayew this many games. You just simply can't. So that's why Vieira has to make a change. But that change, for me, you can make that change with Mateta, right? But I don't know about UT. I don't think that change with Mateta is going to be incredible. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we score a bit more goals. For me, you have to sort out the Edouard situation. Because Mateta, has had a chance.
Because Macheta's had the chance most recently. Ayew's literally had the opportunity all season long. He's been there. He's played the most minutes on the squad. And yet he scored one goal, and I think he has one assist all season long. You know what I mean? Like right now, yeah, we're a pretty solid team defensively. Our issue right now is a lot of times it's going forward. What are we going to do about that? Because there's nothing that you're going to do that's just going to all of a sudden flip the switch and Jordan Ayew is going to become a goal scorer. It's not going to happen.
He's never been that guy. Apart from, as I say, remember the times where you were slating Jordan Ayew? You understand? I never forget when you played that chat.
He played 30-something games, scored 9 goals. So what? That's not a goal scorer.
No.
It's not a goal scorer.
Yes, in that context, yes, he kept us up. Him and Vicente in 2019 kept us up. He had
they helped to keep us up. I'm not denying that. What he did helped us stay up. But even then, 9 goals is not a good return for your center forward. He plays center forward for us.
But that's amazing for Jordan Ayew. 9 goals, bro. We've seen it now.
Amazing for Jordan Ayew is not good enough. It's not good enough.
No, it's not good enough. I 100% agree. But what I'm saying is, that season when you lot were getting onto him, he was the reason why he kept us up. Let's be honest.
He was a help. Yes, he was a huge help. He was the leading scorer on a bad team. Yes, he helped us stay up. I don't have a problem saying that, but he was not good. I'm not going to give you that.
And I agree. Going forward, we have to change it about, and he has to be coming off the bench if we want to win games and create more chances. Because it makes no sense. He can't get. He's never been that guy apart from one season to get goals and assists.
Because like
His
if you
decision
think
making is
about it,
so poor. Even against Villa, I have to say, I think it was the first half.
his decision
The
making is
one
poor.
opportunity we had,
His passing
was
is
running,
poor. The vision is poor.
the one opportunity that we had, when it was running, was actually running on goal. I think it was Ayew and Wilf. And Wilf was like, "Come, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball." You can see it like on whilst watching it. Give me the ball, give me the ball. He doesn't give him the ball. And when does he give him the ball? When we literally.
All right, bro. We get it. We get it, bro. You just said the same thing 6-7 times. We get it, man. You don't have to keep saying the same thing in a different way over and over again, bro. We get it. Damn, man. God, you come over here and say the same things over and over and over again, bro. We get it. You are disgruntled, bro. We get it. But to say the same thing over and over constantly on the same stream 6, 7, 8, 9 times, bro. We do not need to see it, man. I get it. Damn.
Look, he's frustrated. We all are frustrated, man. We all are frustrated. But yeah, I think we all know that we're bad. Let's just say that. But yeah, and there's also a comment saying if you lose to 5-0 to City and have no shots on target again, I mean,
if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. If we end up winning 2-0 like we somehow did last year, what then? Okay, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't. Yeah, look, we can't. We have to have a bit of positivity. I know it's a bit dull right now, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, yes, we could potentially get relegated if we're staying on this form. We can get relegated, but I mean, there are somehow teams worse than us as well. There are teams that concede goals that can't score goals. At least we can defend. We just have to solve our problems going forward. And we've got we've had some very difficult games. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have picked up more points, but as I said before, I think I said it about a month ago. I said that at some points of the season, I think we'll drop down to 15th, 16th. I'm very surprised that we're coming towards the end of these difficult run of games and we miss Wilf, that we haven't dropped down to 15th, 16th. And, you know, we will struggle. And that's because the games that we've had has been beyond ridiculous.
Yep.
Like we face all the top teams back to back to back to back. And now in April, we're going to have a bit more comfort zone. But yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't been.
I mean, because I mean, in being quite honest, from where we used to be, what we used to seeing from the team, if we lost Wilf for a month plus, and we were in the situation where we're 11th, 12th in the table, we're dropping, and we're dropping fast. Because I remember the talk of the fact that if Wilf wasn't in, we couldn't get a point, we couldn't get decision, we were losing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we've done a considerable amount with the matchups that we've had to stay where we are mid-table right now. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yes, we need to score goals. We do, man. We do. But, you know.
Yeah, and just to Eze, says next 13 games, 8 are against teams below us. And I think that's the massive thing. And that's why I said we got a month. We got a month to sort out attacking problems. And if we do, well, our season could look a whole lot different. I mean,
and then if you pick up some key points leading up to the month of April, that's definitely an added bonus. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one surprise win or maybe a draw. Like those are some of the things that'll set us up nicely going into that time.
But we've already got. I think that's what I'm saying. It's just a short-term thing that we're talking about. But we already got positive results. And I'll be honest, since Lokonga's come into the lineup, we've actually had positive performances. The Brentford one wasn't too bad. It was just stupid last-minute goal that we conceded, avoidable. Yep. But still, overall, I thought it was our best performances. The Bournemouth win. Mm-hmm. The Liverpool one wasn't bad, considering the attacking.
Bournemouth reminded me of Chelsea when we gave up that header to Ziyech. We played really well up until that point when we gave.
You mean Brentford? I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, in the Brentford. The Brentford match reminded me of Chelsea when we gave up that last minute header to Ziyech. We played really well the entirety of the match, and you know, last minute goal gave it up and ended up, you know, not getting the decision.
Exactly. But we've come into this game with positive performances, high expectations, and we got let down, massively let down. Mm-hmm. I think that's where the frustration comes from. But we're not a terrible side, man. Maybe we become a terrible side after the Villa game. I don't know. But we haven't been a terrible side when you look at the bigger context of things. When you look at results, absolutely terrible. One win in how long? I don't even know now. 13, 12, 14 games. Yeah, 100%. That is absolutely terrible. When we look at the context of things, the teams that we faced, the players that we've had out injured, we didn't have Anderson for a bit, and we still managed to not, concede goals left, right, center.
And through not having Anderson, we found this newfound love for Chris Richards. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because he came in and he played well, and that's the type of depth that we haven't had before. That the type of ability to step in that we haven't had in a while.
And also remember, when Wilf was out, Eze was also out of form. So we didn't have Eze, we didn't have Zaha, and we only had Elise starting in them games. I'm not expecting any goals like that, but we still got points.
Yep.
We still got points, but we need to be doing better. I agree. We need to be doing better going forward. But look, we spoke enough. It's been like a little therapy session, as well as the Palace news. We've had like a little therapy session towards the end of it. It's like, just let it all out. Because I've been thinking about it, man. After the live match reaction, I've been thinking about it. I don't think we're a terrible side. We've got some winnable games coming up. We have to sort our shit going forward. We 100% do. 100% agree about that. And maybe with a run of games against the likes of City, Brighton, Arsenal, that could be the build-up to the bigger thing. And we've got a 2-week international break. Could be the big up, build up to a good run of games, hopefully where we start scoring goals. Let's just say that. But yeah, for me, I'm not all gloom yet. I know the league table ain't nice. I know it ain't. And it is a bit worrying now. It is a bit worrying, but I'm still trying to keep the faith.
You definitely have to take into account where we are. And
Vieira needs to change things about, but once he makes some changes, and if he does make them changes, then I keep the faith. But that's what I said.
And he's got to know that, man. He's got to know
he
that.
Has to, yeah. He knows that. He must. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's not dumb, man. There's no way. You might say.
And I think that's what led him. That's what led him to starting as this past week. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows he's got to do something different. And I think that's probably just going to continue into these next matches. The adjustments that we'll see. So,
yeah, let's just hope that we pick up a point against Man City, and then everyone all of a sudden is like, "Oh wait, great." Even if you don't, I have no expectation for the next 3 games. Once again, we're back to the top opponents. No expectation. Well, a bit of expectation, of course. I want us to pick up a point, but you're facing Man City and Arsenal, who are offline. Funny enough, I'm crazy, but I still have a bit of confidence against Arsenal. I don't know about Man City, but Arsenal, they've had these dodgy performances of late. They keep pulling the wins, but sooner rather than later, they have to slip up some points. They have to, if they're playing like that anyways. They haven't been that great. They're losing 2-0 to Bournemouth, one of the worst teams in the Premier League, at home as well. And then before that, was it against Everton, they beat them 4-0, but they didn't have a great first half. They've had a bit of, question marks.
Vulnerability. Yeah, a little bit of vulnerability.
Yeah, but we'll see. But look, that's it from us. We've spoken enough about Palace. There's no more to talk about. As always, if you have enjoyed the content, if you can smash the like button and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. We'll be back throughout the week for more Palace content, more Palace news, match previews, hopefully opposition previews, and much more. So keep your eyes peeled on Back of the Nest, and also make sure to follow us on social media. Until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.